Story 1.
I'm a teen. I live with both of my grandparents from my mother's side. This house I live in at the moment is a very old one. Probably been here since the 1960s or 70s. A lot of people had lived here and had lived with us, relatives, nannies, and friends. My grandma once told me that someone had died in one of the rooms this house has, and that room once was my mom's. A lot had died here. She'd study there all the time, but sometimes, whenever she does, she'd feel a heavy weight on her back, as if someone was on top of her, riding her back. She couldn't get up, or that sometimes she'd feel like someone's watching her. And because of that, my mom barely sleeps there ever since. For years, it had been a storage room instead of a room to sleep. Moreover, there were moments where someone would call my grandma's name downstairs. My grandma would think that it's a friend of hers or a relative asking for help or something else. Once she'd get down and open the door, no one's there. She told me that it had occurred many times to her. I never believed it and thought that she's just making things up just to scare me, or she was just being paranoid. One night, I was sleeping on a long wooden chair downstairs after watching lots and lots of movies. It was around 4 a.m. that morning. Somebody was calling me by my nickname. I thought that it was my grandpa. I was scared, thought that he was dying, or that what if I'm about to witness a murder? I got into his room and saw him sleep very well and comfortably. I went upstairs to go check my grandma, because what if my assumptions actually happened to her and not to my gramps? I saw her fast asleep. I panicked when I arrived and asked loudly, "Are you okay? Did something happen?" I woke her up. She told me everything's all right. That's when I realized that what my grandma told me was true. Sometimes while I'm watching TV downstairs or cooking past midnight, I'd feel like somebody's watching me. I'd always stare at the stairs and look at it for about a minute, though I'm not scared or anything. What I'm scared is that something might happen to both of my grandparents. We're not scared and already used to it though. We don't really care about it. I just want to share some strange experiences we encountered.
Story 2.
My mom had a nightmare at 3 a.m. that turned out to be real. I had a conversation with my mom last night, and she randomly told me about something that happened when we lived in this old house years ago. I thought I'd share it here. This was back when I was in elementary school. I don't remember why we had to move out, but I was really upset about leaving my friends behind. A family we knew let us stay temporarily in their old house while my parents looked for a more permanent place. They warned us it was old and a bit worn out, but livable. The moment we got there, something felt off. I got goosebumps immediately, and my youngest sibling refused to even step inside. She just stood there crying. The atmosphere felt heavy. The house had 2 rooms and an attic. I used to go up there and found a bunch of old makeup and documents. On the first night, my sister kept tossing and turning and eventually moved to the other side of the bed. The next morning, she told me and made me promise not to tell our mom that she saw a little girl sitting on top of the closet just staring at us. We ended up fighting because I thought she was just trying to scare me. But after that, neither of us wanted to sleep on that side of the bed anymore. A lot of weird things happened during our stay, but this one stuck with me the most. My dad is a painter, and at the time he was out of town for a few days. One night, my mom had a nightmare. In her dream, she saw a man sitting in the living room with a little girl beside him. They were both staring at her, mouthing something she couldn't understand. Then suddenly she saw my dad behind her, grabbing her shoulders and telling her to wake up because my sister had a fever. He also said it was 3 a.m. and that they were 2 men outside trying to break in. My mom woke up immediately and checked the time. It was exactly 3 a.m. My sister, who was sleeping next to her, was burning up with a fever. My mom rushed to the living room and turned on the outside lights. Right after that,
she heard a loud thud on the door, followed by footsteps running away. I asked her if she was just trying to scare me, but she insisted it really happened. She also told me something I didn't know before. The owners of that house used to run a funeral home business. My sister even joked that the makeup we were messing with back then was probably used for that. Yeah, I barely slept after she told me that.
Story 3.
This happened about 3 years ago. One day in winter, I woke up in the middle of the night, probably at like 2 or 3 a.m., and I've gone to the bathroom. In order for me to go to the bathroom, I need to go through a fairly long and straight hallway. I did my thing, washed my hands, and I walked through what I call a portal, and I felt a hand on my left shoulder. Barely there, barely noticeable. I quickly turned around and looked what it could have been. Now, in the winter, me and my husband sometimes put our coats there so they get dry. You have to walk around them to get through, or just walk through them. But when I turned around, I looked right at our fridge's lights, seeing nothing else in the hallway. I didn't think much of it at that time. It was at night, I was tired, and could have just been imagining things, so naturally I've gone to bed. The next day I woke up and went to look if there was a coat. There wasn't anything. No coats, nothing. My husband was still in bed. He confirmed he never woke up in the middle of the night to possibly take it off. I went to the bathroom to change into normal clothes, and when I looked into the mirror, I saw a red, burned bruise on my left shoulder. To this day, I have no idea what it was, and I don't even want to know.
Story 4.
So, this happened to my sister last week, and she wasn't going to tell anyone, but she told me eventually. So basically, we were 3 sisters, and our older sister had a wedding to attend late at night, no kids allowed. So she left her kids with us at our parents' home, including her 10-month-old baby. We all went to bed, and my other sister kept the baby with her, and she slept in her arms. At about 2-3 a.m.-ish, she woke up to something violently trying to pull her arms and high-key trying to pull the baby from her arms. She kept fighting and fighting. In the moment she started reciting some Quran verses, it stopped. But she literally almost had a heart attack, and she couldn't go back to sleep. So she just kept holding on tight onto our baby niece and waited until our older sister came to pick her up. And when she woke up, she found plenty of bruises on her arm, which was being pulled, and weirdly enough, her legs too. Mind you, last summer I had a similar experience at our home, but I'll post about it later.
Story 5.
Hello, I am Jason. I was a doctor for children for several years. It was hard to get all the way up here, college and so much study. One time, a kid came in. I remember his name being Kron or anything in that direction. And my mom told me he has an imaginary friend that's a tall black man, as Kron says. I talked to the mother and ask her how long has this been going on for, and she replies with several weeks. I answer that it's good, so it can be cured. I spoke to Kron and told him to draw me the creature. What I saw there wasn't a normal imaginary friend. No, it was a tall guy with sharp nails scratching people's faces. I ask the mother if he has consumed any 12+ media, and she replies with no, he doesn't even have a mobile device or TV to watch on. Suddenly, I feel this weird feeling, and I sleep for a moment. When the mother wakes me up with my other colleagues, Jonathan and Clara, I tell them I feel weird. I throw it away as a sleepy effect, and I continue talking to the mother. The mother pretends to want to speak to my manager and gets me out of the room. And she questions me, "You also see it, don't you?" "I don't know what you mean," I reply. But when I look under the fire truck that's made out of wood, I see a total black hat. My heart began pounding. In that moment, I just ran. I didn't care about my job. I didn't care about anything. I just ran. The mother stopped me at the parking lot and told me that that guy is her ex, pretending to be an imaginary friend of us all. She told me he was crazy. That's why he thought I think he's not real, and that's why the hat was there. I told her to go run to her child. I followed her. I didn't expect to ever enter that building again, especially not after saying I would never enter again 3 minutes ago. I grabbed a chair and looked all in my room. The man was gone. The man tried hiding the kid in a closet, but it didn't succeed. I quit my job. I am planning to work at a sweet shop. Since that accident, I never go into the dark. I always use lights. It's your choice to believe if this is real, but this actually happened. I hope we'll never hear from each other again.
Story 6.
I joined this subreddit in order to get this experience out and wonder if anyone can possibly explain. I was hanging out at my friend's spot for the night, and we ended up watching some creepy videos on YouTube. Eventually, we ended up sharing some creepy things that happened to ourselves, when one thing she said made me a lot more interested. She claimed she had been hearing weird things in her attic near her room. At first, my mind went to, oh, it's just rats or a pigeon got in. But then she added that there was muddy handprints on the attic door. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, what if her parents had just opened it? Well, here's the thing. Her parents don't do handiwork that can cause actual muddy handprints, and they don't go outside unless going to the shop. Along with this, the handprints ranged in various different freshness, some really old and some quite new. The thing that freaked me out most is that not only has nobody in the house got the key to open it, this key was lost one day, but the handprints came from the inside, as if somebody had got up there and shut it from the inside.